I'm Romo and Esiason for SI.com. Now, normally in this segment, I give you the top 5 quarterbacks moving into the next week of play. But since only 4 are emerging as winners from last week's wild card playoffs, I'm going to give you 4 in the order in which I think they played last week and tell you a little bit about what they're going to have to do this week in order to win a tough road game. Number 4, Cam Newton. He was 18 of 32, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was not a great performance, especially given how bad Arizona's offense really was under Ryan Lindley. All I can tell you is this week against Seattle, he's going to have to be so much better than that, as he's going against what I believe is to be the best defense this season. And what they've done the last 8 weeks is historical about how good they are, and it is going to be a fast game in Seattle. Number 3, Andrew Luck. Now, I know he had a great game. He threw for 376 yards. He threw a touchdown pass. He completed 31 of 44 passes. And no quarterback is asked to do more. As his offensive coordinator, Pep Hamilton, said last week, we are who we are, and we are a passing team. And the reason they're a passing team is because this young man is a brilliant quarterback. Now, he goes on the road against Denver and Peyton Manning. It's going to be loud. It's going to be unbelievably difficult to communicate. Here's the bad news for the Colts. Last week, they played a Bengal team missing their top 2 receivers, tight end Jermaine Gresham, and, of course, wide receiver A.J. Green. This week, they go on the road. All hands on deck for the Denver Broncos. Julius Thomas, Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, Emmanuel Sanders will all be out there, plus a much better defense than the Bengals gave you. So I think this is a tough spot for Andrew Luck. He's going to have to be even better this week than he was last week if the Colts are to win. Number 2, Tony Romo, and he had a win for the ages for the Dallas Cowboys, and we know that there's always the narrative that Tony Romo can't come up big in a big game. Having him play the way he played this week, the fourth quarter comeback, throwing the winning touchdown pass, well, all those Tony Romo bashers out there could take a back seat. So, good for Tony Romo. He played great. Now he goes on the road, and he's going to go into Lambeau Field, where they once played the Ice Bowl. Let's see if he can actually recreate this past performance against one of the best defenses in football in Detroit, and hopefully DeMarco Murray can be of a great support role and gain over 100 yards in order to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers at home. And number 1, Joe Flacco. How about his performance in Pittsburgh last Saturday night? It was one for the ages. Now, going into that game, they hadn't beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers in 3 previous playoff tries, but his performance against the Steeler defense was almost pitch perfect. He threw the ball accurately, threw it with steam, and now he goes on a road to a place where he's won before, Gillette Stadium. As a matter of fact, if you can remember back a few years ago as they were getting ready to go on their Super Bowl run, his safety, Ed Reed, kind of called him out in the media and said, well, listen, you know, our quarterback needs to play better. He can't be rattled. Joe Flacco not only responded in kind with words that said, how is it when we win, it's always about our Baltimore defense, but when we lose, it's because I get rattled. Well, Joe Flacco no longer gets rattled in the big games, as evidenced by his Super Bowl MVP and further evidenced by his performance last week against Pittsburgh. However, this week, maybe the best Patriot defense that he has ever seen. This secondary that the Patriots have in the pass rush and the run stuffing is about as good as it gets for New England. So this is a tough spot for all 4 of these road quarterbacks who are all coming off quality games, and they're all going to have to be even better than they won last week if they want to win on the road this week. I'm Boomer Esiason.